Hello and welcome to Design with Cracker. Today I'm going to start a series, a short series. I'm going to be calling it the Power of Oxygen Elements. This is going to be taking a look at how to recreate existing websites with Oxygen, Builder elements. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to use the Oxygen tabs element to recreate these Facebook community, tabs. This is a very nice and creative way to present a tab. There are other section here, but we're going to be focusing on this one. So what I did was I went ahead to download these pictures, the small one and the big ones, and I also created custom fields. I'm going to walk you through how I did that, and so let's just go right into it. This is the backend. So what I did was, if you go to plugins, you realize that I installed advanced custom fields. Now this is not the pro version. This is just the free advanced custom field. So it does not have all the options. It doesn't have, for example, it doesn't have repeaters. And now for the purpose of this tutorial, I wanted to use custom fields to populate all this. I don't want to put them individually. So in a client's website, for example, if you're designing a website for a client, the clients would want to be able to make, say change the name and the picture. Maybe there's a replacement, okay, and let's just hope that there are just 4 of them, because we're not going to be making use of repeaters since these are tabs. So so let's say there are 4 positions to be filled, and there's a possibility that someone could be replaced and they need to change the picture and even this. So you want a situation where the client can go into the backend without opening Oxygen Builder to change that information. So I have that information set up here in a page called in a sample page actually. So I put it here in a sample page. So I'm going to open that up. Alright, so so you can see these are my custom fields in this sample page. You can see the name, the position, the image, and the large image. So I have 4 of those. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the 4 persons. So I call these people fields. I have person 1, and I have person 2, I have person 3, and person 4. So I'm going to show you how I set that up. So let's go back. I'm going to go to custom fields. Now I've already installed advanced custom fields, and then I'm going to go to custom fields. So I already created a custom field. So that is done by creating adding new. So just say add new, and then I call that persons. That's what I did. I call it person. So I'm going to call it person 2, okay, and then I'm going to go ahead to add the field. So what I'm going to do is so the first thing I did was let the show this field group if the page is equal to sample page. So I want this to appear in this page only. So I don't want it to be general. Okay, so only that page will have the fields I'm going to create. So once I do that, so all this, I didn't touch anything here. All this I just leave them as default. Maybe the only thing I did was I wanted this thing to be this custom field to be placed after the title, above other elements. For instance, the Oxygen Builder meta box, I wanted this to be high above that. And then I started adding my fields. Of course, you can click publish, then I add the field. So I'm calling this person 1. Okay, so that's what I did. And then when you click here, it automatically adds the slot. So the next thing is I'm going to select the field type. Now, because I want each person to have different attributes, for example, one person is going to have a name, the position, a small image, and a large image. So I want to use a group, so I'm going to use a group. Alright, so under that group, I'll have the option to add the different fields for that group. So I'm going to go, the first one, I'm going to add name, and then, of course, when you click here, this lock is automatically inserted. The field group, the field type is going to be text, so I'm just going to leave it like that, and every other value remains the same. Okay, so that's the name. I'm going to add another field, Now note these are subfields. These are subfields under person 1 because it is a group. You understand? So we have subfields, as you can see. So this begins from here to here, and this begins from here to here. So it's easy to identify that you're working with a subgroup. So the second one will be, say, position, and that is just a text. And then I'm going to add another one. Now this is going to be image, okay? Or you could just call it small image or thumbnail, depending on whatever you want to call it. And this field type will be image. And then one important thing is to make sure you select image URL. So if you select this, your image field is not going to display inside Oxygen Builder when you're using the advanced custom fields to insert the dynamic data. So and every other thing remains the same. So we have that. I'm going to add one more, which is for the large image, okay? And then this, so always remember to click there to select, to insert the slug. I'm going to change this to image, and then the same thing, image URL. And once we're done, we're going to click publish. Now, so you can see that I have person 1. So all that we've done is for one person, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is, now I'm going to duplicate this for the remaining 3 people, so I don't have to create this all over. So I'm just going to go duplicate and change this to person 2, and then I'm going to delete this, insert my cursor here and bring it back here, and it inserts the slug. So and then I'm going to save that. I'm going to duplicate this one again, okay? So we have person 2, so I'm going to do person 3, delete this, put my cursor here, bring it back here, and then I'm going to duplicate that again. So we have person 4, okay? Alright, so once that is done, I'm going to update this. So now that is how I created my custom field. So I have person 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete this since I already have it, okay? So I'm going to move this to trash, and I already have it here. So this is the original one I created. So that was just to show you how I went about that. So this is the original one, and remember that this was set to display if the page is equal to sample page. So I'm going to go to pages, and then I'm going to go to sample page. So you're going to see, so here we are in sample page. You could see that so you have this people fields down person 1. We have name, position, image, and large image. So what I did was I went ahead to copy the names, and then just insert the image just the way, like if I remove this, because you can see add image, and I'm gonna go add image from the library. Yeah, so I did the same for all of this. For the large image, I downloaded the large image, so you can see all this. So once I did that, I click update, and then I'm gonna open this page in Oxygen Builder. Okay, so I'm gonna edit with Oxygen. I've gone ahead to open it here. So let's take a look at this tab. So we have this tab. We have 4 tabs, and we're gonna design this layout exactly the way we want to get it, exactly the way it is here. Okay, so okay, let's just start. So the first thing I'm going to do is to add a section, and then in that section I'm gonna add a div. Okay, and that div, I want to make that div. Let's take a look at this. This is like almost like the page width, the typical page width. So I'm just gonna make that div. Let's try 100%. So 100% gives us the page width. Okay, so I'm gonna give it, I'm not gonna give it any background. Okay, so perhaps I should, maybe I should. Okay, so I'm just gonna give it a background of white. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and style it, so giving it a border radius and a shadow, box shadow. So first of all, let me just give it a height and a width. So okay, let's leave that for now. So I'm gonna go to border and just change the border radius to 10. Nothing is really happening, so I'll go to effect, box shadow, I'm going to change this to black and then give it an opacity of 45, and then I'm going to give the 0 0 blur, let's say 20. Okay, so we're beginning to see, you know, what is happening. Let's probably make this and the spread, maybe we should just leave the spread. Let's try -5. Okay, and if this is 20. Okay, so alright, so now that is set. We could come back to adjust that if we need to. The next thing we're going to do is to drop in 2 divs. So we're having 2 divs here, so I'm going to put one div is going to be like 40% and the other one is going to be like 60%. So I'm going to drop in 2 divs. So I'm going to add a div inside this, and then I'm going to duplicate it. Okay, now I'm going to set child element to stack horizontally, and this is going to be 40%, while this is going to be 60%. Okay, so yeah, those proportions look like they're okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is to have I think I should have 2 divs here. You know, we could do without having 2 divs. Okay, so let's not have a lot of divs inside. So I'm gonna go to my structure. Okay, so I'll select the section, and then what I'm gonna do is to add the oxygen tab element. So you go to helper, and then okay, let's just type tab, and so you have the tabs element. So now, you know, the amazing thing about the oxygen tabs element is that it's so simple. You know, when I was using, you know, themes, you know, some of them, you know, they used to have these, you know, pre-made tabs where you have the tab element and you have a bunch of setting, you know, and then you can just adjust some things the way you want. Maybe enough for what you want to do, but this is just bare bone oxygen, you know, elements used in these tabs, and I like it so much because it has so much potential, it has so much flexibility. You can use it to create advanced layouts. Okay, so now we have the tabs and we have the tabs content. So these two make up the oxygen tabs element. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to move the tabs inside this div, and then I'm going to move the contents inside this div. So let's move that. So the content doesn't want to be moved, so I'm just going to do that. So I moved it inside from the navigation panel. So so if I click here, so you see you have content 1 show, content 2, and content 3. So you can see showing here. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these tabs to display vertically. Okay, and now and then I'm gonna set now to make this tab grow and fill up, you know, just the way it's filling up here. What I'm gonna do is to select I'm gonna select this tab. Okay, so you have different tabs inside. So you have the tab, and then you have the different tabs. Okay, so I'm gonna select this, and I'm gonna set the width to 100%. Okay, so we have that 100%. All right, so let's first of all do some preliminary styling. I'm going to add one. Let's add one more tab. Now I'm going to hold this tab and just duplicate it. So we have tab 4. So I'm just going to call this tab 4. Okay, so we have 4 tabs, and then for the content, I have to duplicate that also. So you want to make sure you have equal number of. So this is the last one. So I'm just going to call it content 4. Okay. So you want to make sure you have equal number of tabs and equal number of tab contents. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I want to do some styling. So we notice that this tab has the active has a top border of that blue color. So I'm going to go to tabs active. So now when you select a tab element, it has 2 classes. It has tab and it has active class. Okay, and then it also has an ID. So I'm going to select the active class, and then I'm going to go to advanced border, and then currently editing top border. I'm going to set it to solid, and then I'm going to make it a width of say 3. Okay, and then I'm going to give it a color. So alright, I don't seem to have these colors. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let me copy this color using my eyedropper extension, Chrome extension. So I'm just gonna go copy color from web. So I'm just gonna copy that color. I'm gonna put it here. Okay, so I'm gonna save that as FB blue. Okay, Facebook blue. So I have that color there. Alright, so let me just go ahead and copy this other one. So I'm gonna copy this. This is a nice sweet blue. So let me just put that, and then I'm gonna save that as let's just call it sweet blue. I like it. Alright, so I'm gonna delete this and take the other one. Alright, so now that we have our tab active, so we have that style, the next thing I'm gonna do is to go inside this tab element. Now we have a text here. We will have to take away that text, but then I'm gonna add a div inside there. So I'm gonna add a div, okay, and I want to make sure that I have, let's say, okay, so perhaps I don't need to add a div. Maybe I don't. Okay, so there's a lot of reasons I might need to add or may not need to add that div, but let's have a div because I want to give it a class, so that we'll be able to control some of these hover effects. So we have a div inside here, and then I'm going to call that div data, or let me call this I'm trying to look at how to plan this. So we have this when we hover, and this fits, but the picture doesn't fit. So that means we need two divs. So I'm gonna have so I'm gonna call this image, okay, image wrapper, and then I'm gonna add another div, not inside, it's going inside, so outside here, okay. So we have the image wrapper, and then this one I'm gonna call it data. That's, I'm trying to give it a class for the name and the position. Okay, let me just call it name position wrapper. Okay, so, and then I'm gonna select this tab and stack this horizontally. I'll take away that text, I'm gonna delete it. Okay, so I have this. So I want to make this like, say, maybe 30%, okay, and then I'm gonna make the remaining 70%. All right, okay, so we have that, those two things, and then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add an image element, add image, and then I'm going to use my custom data to insert that image. So I go to data, advanced custom field. Now this is for person 1, and then I want to put the normal image and insert. Okay, so we have that image, so I'm gonna give it a class of profile image. Okay, so I need to add a dash there, profile image. So I'm giving it a class of profile image, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and style it with say 50% border radius. Okay, all right, and then the width, I want to make it small as this, so I'm gonna give it size and spacing, width of say 50, so height is 50, width is 50. So I think that does it. Okay, so for it to center horizontally, I'm gonna just select the tab and then just center everything in the middle. Okay, and for this we made it 30. I think I'm gonna make it 25, and then this will be 75. Okay, so I'm gonna add the name and the position. So I'm gonna add a text to this name position wrapper. So I'm gonna add let's just add a heading for that, and then give it H4, okay, and maybe H5, and then I'm gonna let me just style it, give it the text. No, I'm not gonna style it yet. So let me clear the style I don't want to style it until I've given it a class. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to give this a class of name. Okay, it's very important that I add classes at this stage because it's going to control all this. So I have that. Then I'm going to style it. I'm going to give it H5 and give it a color of sweet blue, and then I want to have a line height of 1.2, and then I'm going to add another text, this time a text, and then I'm going to give it a class of position. So I'm going to add position as a class for this one, and then I'm going to just give it a font weight of, say, that, and then the color I want it to be somewhat ash, just like they have a very light color. So I'm going to just eyeball it, and then I think I'll just add that color alright, to the global colors. And then for the line height, I still gonna make it 1.2, and then uppercase. Okay, and then the font size, I should make it, say, like 16. Now let's make it very small, 10. Okay, so that looks like a 12, so let's go 12. Alright, I think that's showing up well. Okay, so now time to edit this. So I'm going to double click this and then insert data, advanced custom field, person 1, name. Okay, insert. So that is going to show the name. So yeah, it's showing the name, and then I'm going to do the same here. Select everything, insert data, advanced custom field, person 1, position, insert. Okay, so we have a little bit of a margin bottom here, so I'm going to select that, make sure it's on the class, go to size, advanced size and spacing. I'm just going to give it an 8 pixel. I think that is too much. Let's just give it a 4 pixel. Okay, I think I've done something wrong. Let me undo that. Okay, so we have 4 pixels. Yeah, 4 pixels. Alright. Okay, when I selected this one jumped. Okay, so how do we solve that? Okay, so I know what happened here. So the problem here is that we applied it to the active. Okay, we applied this to the active, so I'm going to just remove that from the active. I'm going to go to the tab and then apply that horizontal, so that whether it is active or not, it's going to have that. So this is why it is important to be careful of the class you are applying these styles. So what I did was I applied it to the active, and in the active I already did I have other styles? I didn't have any. Yeah, I did the top border, which is for the active actually, so that's correct. So but for the alignment, the alignment should be the same for all the tabs. Okay, so I have this div, because I have these 2 divs. Okay, and since I've already set up the styles here right now, okay, I'm going to, I think I should wrap these 2, this and this. So let me rename this. This is for my image, so I'm just gonna rename it image, so that it's gonna be easy to navigate. So I have that as image. I'm gonna call this position name position. Okay, this is just a name, it's not a class. Okay, so we have tab 1 here. Alright, so I'm gonna wrap that in a div. Okay, I'm gonna wrap that in a div to make things easy. I'm just gonna move this in. Okay, and then I'm gonna make that 100%. Alright, the reason I'm doing this is I want to be able to move these into these tabs. Okay, and control it better, so I still have my control. Alright, I'm gonna call this person. Okay, I'm just gonna rename that to person. By the way, I'm using hydrogen pack, so I have shortcuts to rename, so you can always go to here and then click on rename, but I find the hydrogen pack shortcut very handy. Okay, now that we have all that, I'm going to give this a class. So I'm going to call this person. Okay, person data. All right, so that's person data, and this is now I have already you know given it a style, so I'm just going to copy all the style from the ID to the class and then delete the ones from the ID. Okay, so I can have my, then for this one I'm just going to remove this, okay, from that tab. I'm going to remove that, you know, horizontal alignment, and so everything is now here on the person. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to duplicate that and move it to the second tab. Okay, and then do the same thing, move it to the third tab, and then do the same thing and move it to the fourth tab. Of course, I'm going to take away these text here. Now, so the reason I had to, you know, apply all those classes, you know, before moving them is so that now if I come here and then change the font size to say 20, you see all of them will adjust. So let me just delete that. Okay, so let me save this. Let's go ahead and review this to see. I think I should make my font type, just for the sake of it, something similar. So I'm going to go to typography and choose Poppins. That looks similar to Poppins. Then I'm going to change the font size to 20. Yeah, 18. Okay, no, smaller. I think that should be 14. Okay, so it looks like 14. And then for this one, for this, we just still gonna choose Poppins. That is one of my favorite fonts, by the way. I'm gonna make this 10. Okay, 12. All right, and just gonna make it okay. Now realize that only the active text is blue, so I think we might have to readjust this. So I'm going to delete that from there, and then I'm going to go to the tabs, the tab, okay, the tab active, and then I'm going to go to typography. So we're selecting the active class for the tab, and we're saying typography. No, this is not going to work, because if we set it, all the typography might, you know, change. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so it's working. It's working because we have already set a style, okay, for this text. Okay, for this text we have already set a style for on the class here. So so it's cool. So if we remove this, see, it's going to affect it, so I'm going to undo that. So we already have that class for this, so it's not affecting, you know, it's not affecting, you know, that particular one. So we've gone ahead to set that style active. Okay, so all the classes. Now if you notice that I have this weird transition, okay, and that's because I have included a code block in my workspace, and then I have a CSS that says, you know, I use a selector that says everything should have a transition. Okay, so I did that on purpose because I didn't want to, you know, you can see even my you know, builder, you know, UI elements are transiting. So but then that is okay, so I'm gonna save that. So we have this set up. Now another thing is they have these borders. So and then one more thing, this text. Okay, so I'm gonna take this, and then what we're gonna do is we have a tabs here, we have this div, so I'm gonna add a heading. Okay, I'm moving above the tabs. Okay, I'm just gonna paste that. Okay, and for that I think what do we do with that? So these elements they actually do have a padding here. So the tab active and the tabs, they do have I think they do have a default padding. Okay, so to make all of these align to the same, I think what I'm going to do is I would like to remove that padding, okay, from both the active class. All right, and then I'm going to select the div and apply that padding, you know, the div that is the parent to this tab. Okay, I'm going to select it and apply that padding to So wait, so I'm just going to give it say 16. Was it 16 or 32? Okay, it looks much like 32. This looks a bit bigger. Okay, so I'm just gonna make it 40. How about 50? Okay, 50 looks like it. So I'm gonna make this so this is just one, so no need to give it a class. Okay, and I'm gonna give it a very dark color. All right, something like that. So I'm just gonna add it as dark blue. Yeah, I know this is kind of black, but I want mine to be blue. So I'll go to typography, the line height, and give it 1.3, maybe a 1.2, and then I'm gonna make the font size 24. Okay, use poppins. Now normally if you want to do something like this, you don't want to be repeating what, setting this font type. You could set it, in the global settings. You could go to settings, global styles, fonts, and just choose the font type you want to use here, display, text fonts, and all that. But since we're just doing this, I'm not going to bother with that. So 24 doesn't look good, so we have, all right, so I'm going to set the line height to 1.2 or 1.3. Looks more like it. All right, so then I'm gonna give this a padding, and perhaps maybe that's what I should have done, to give the whole of this. Yeah, so we already done that. So all I need to do is just to make that padding apply to all. Okay, so that padding applies to all. Maybe the top and the bottom is a bit smaller, so we could just take that to 32. Okay, so I'm trying to see that we don't have any margin. No margin. All right, okay, so let's save this. So now what I'm going to do is to bring in this data. So for this, I'm going to go to the image. Okay, advanced custom field, person 2, image, insert this, I'm gonna just select that. So of course I could actually rename it here to her 2. Okay, and then for this one I could rename it to 2. Okay, and that should work. So because it's just the same thing, for this one it's person 3, so I'm just gonna rename it to 3, as long as I spelled it correctly. Now it's saying no data found here, so why? Okay, let's continue. Okay, what did I write here? These 2. Okay, so this is should be 3. So it's saying no data, so I'm just gonna select that, insert data, advanced custom field, person 2, position. All right, so we have that. Okay, what did we miss? Well, since it's not working that way, so I'm still gonna go the normal way, person 3, position, insert. Okay, these worked, so I'm just gonna call this 4. Okay, then for these, so I'll do, I'm just basically using the dynamic custom data, custom field to insert the positions for this. Now another thing is we have this border, so we're gonna have the border top and bottom for this, and border bottom for this, border top for this. So I think that should do. So we have the border top, border top, border top, border top. Okay, so we're gonna give all of them border top. So I'm gonna select this, and then I'm gonna go to the tab, not active class, but the tab class, advanced borders top. I'm gonna select solid 1, and then I'm gonna choose that sweet light color, but it seems that one is lighter, so we may have to modify it or change the opacity. Okay, all right, so something like that. So that looks like 1 pixel. Okay, so let's save it. Alright, so we have a border. Now onto our tab content. Did I say border? Yeah. And I want to set this heading to have a margin, bottom of say 32 pixel, something like that. So we have a 32 pixel margin. Okay, so that looks good. That looks good. Okay. All right. So do we have okay, so everything looks great here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, concentrate on this side. So let me just collapse this. So we're working on this side. Okay, so we have these tabs. So you have tab contents. If you click here, you have tab content 1. So we're going to go to, let me just collapse everything and then open this. Okay, so we have this. Okay, so we want to put so what happens here is there's an image. So whether it's going to be an image or a background image, so I think because of this gradient, I'm going to use a background image. Okay, so that we can apply this gradient without having to put a lot of other elements inside it. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. Go to, we are on ID, so there's a class here. All right, tab contents, but we're using the ID, okay, because each tab content is going to have a different background. So I'm going to go to advanced background, and I'm going to use this data to include that background image. So we have person 1 large image. Okay, then we have size. I'm going to select original for the size. Okay, this is very important because if you leave this blank, that image is going to come in. Let's just let me go back and then come here, person 1 large image. I will not select anything, and then I'm going to choose cover. Now, okay, so to make this grow all the way down here, I'm going to go to this parent div for these two divs. Okay, so you have this is for the right div. Okay, so I'm just going to rename it to, let's just call it, did I say right? Left. Okay, left div, and then this is for the right div. Okay, so so I'm going to select the parent div and then stretch the vertical item alignment, set it to stretch, so that this div fills in the height, and then I'm going to select this and set the height to 100%. Okay, so that fills in 100%. Then for the tab content, I'm just gonna go to advanced, size and spacing, also set it to 100%. Alright, so now notice that this background image is very blurry, and that's because when we were applying the the background image to our background, we didn't specify. So I'm just gonna go back, advanced custom field, person 1 large image. I'm gonna choose original, and then I'm gonna insert. Alright, so you see that works well. So the original image comes out the way it's supposed to look. So that's one important thing you have to note, that the image has to be set to original. Okay, so we still have our text item here. I don't think I'm going to bother deleting that text item. Okay, so I'm going to select the tab content, okay, and then I'm going to style this text. Okay, so because I want all this text to be the same for all the tab content, so I'm going to set the typography style, font family, pens, color white. Okay, so you have that white there, and the font weight, let's look at this. I think that should be like 600 or more, so let's go 800. Okay, so yeah, that is about it, and then that's basically it. But then we have this, seems to be okay, it's left aligned. Let's check. Okay, it's left aligned. All right, okay, so that's good. Then I'm going to go select the text, and then I'm going to give that text a class, because I want to apply that class to all the other text. So I'm going to give it content, what should we call this, quotes. Okay, content quotes. All right, or person quotes. Let me just call it person quotes. So I'm going to add that, and then on that text class, I'm going to go to advanced. Now I want to bring it all the way down here, okay? And since we don't have anything in this div to push it down, so we're going to go to size and spacing, margin, top, auto, so that brings it down. But then I think we have a padding in here, so I'm going to set that padding. Okay, still using this, I'm going to set the padding to say maybe 32 pixels all around. Alright, just going to save that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is just to, bring in this text. So I'm not sure you can copy this text, but I'm just going to copy it from here. Copy, just going to click, paste. Alright, let's see how it looks. Okay, and the size, I think the size should be more than that, so let's try 18. I think that text is a bit too thick. 18, or I think 18 is fine. 18 is fine, or we could go for 20. Okay, let's try the thickness. So let me remove that. I think our styling was somewhat okay. So we had two stylings. Okay, we had the person quotes. Okay, that was for the for the margin. Okay, but for the typography, we were styling it from the tab, so we probably would have just used this to style everything. But let me remove that. Okay, and I'm going to remove the typography styling. Okay, and then I'm going to put all that styling in the person quote, so we can just apply that class to it. Okay, so let's do that. Pins, font weights, let's use 720. Okay, and now I'm using hydrogen pack, so I can just copy that style and paste. So if we go to this other tab, we could just apply that style to that text, person quote. So we go to say tab, I could just select that and then apply that class to it. Okay, so let's go back to content 1. Alright, okay, so that seems to work. Okay, this so the font size here is 21. Maybe we should just make it 21. Okay, nope. Alright, let's stick to 20. Okay, so so the next thing is I'm going to do the same for the remaining tabs. So content 2. Okay, I'm going to go to tab content 2. Okay, and let's see where do we apply our size and spacing. 100%, so I'm going to take it out from there. Okay, and apply it to the class. 100% height. Alright, so for the content 1, so we have for the tab content class, so that we're putting that 100% on the class, so that it will apply to all these other classes. So I'm going to tab content 2, and then I can set my background image from the ID, advanced background image, data, advanced custom field, person 2, large image, original, insert. Okay, so we have that cover, set it to cover, repeat, and then let's just go ahead and set all the background images. For this, I'm gonna do the same. On the ID, remember to always select the ID, background, alright. Now for the text here, I'm just gonna copy this text, okay, so we have this, anything, community, readers. Alright, so this for some reason I don't understand what I did here for this to revert. So I suspect I must have added this a profile image. Yeah, I must have added that to the class, so I'm gonna just cut that out and paste it in the that's image 3. Okay, so, all right, and then for this I'm gonna cut this out and paste it in the ID. So I must have made a mistake to paste that to insert that data on the class image 4. Okay, all right, so let's save this and then go to the front end and see what we have. Let's refresh. Oops. Okay, so we have this, we have this, we have this, and we have this. So just the same way. So I'm going to close this just the same way we have it here. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to add this glow. Okay, this gradient. So I'm going to use the class for the tab content to do that. So I'm going to go to background. Am I sure I want to do that? Because let's see, gradients. I'm going to add 2 colors. I'm going to add this. I'm going to add white. Okay, and it doesn't look like it's working, so that means we're not going to use the class. So I'm just going to use the ID. So we have this tab selected, so I'm going to go to the ID where we have the background image. I'm going to add 2 colors. One will be blue, and the other one, I think I'm still going to make it blue, but I'm going to drop the opacity down to 0. Okay, so now I want this, I'm going to set this position, say 70%. Okay, and then put this at maybe 90. All right, maybe 100. Okay, so gives us, and our color, I think it's this color, yeah. Okay, so something similar. Our color seems to be lighter, but it's okay. So I'm gonna do the same to the other tabs. So for this, okay, so let's save that and go to the front end, refresh. All right, so we have this. Okay, so the next thing that is left is this, flash animation that we have here. Okay, so to have that, and we're gonna have to set fade animation, opacity animation, for the tab content. So I'm gonna select the tab content class. All right, and then I'm gonna go to advanced custom CSS, and then I'm gonna just write. I think that won't work. That won't work. So I'm going to go to my code block and then add CSS. First of all, let me copy this class. All right. So this is the tab content, the content class for all the tab content. I'm going to go to the code block and then I'm going to paste it. Dot that. So I'm going to say animation. I'm going to just call it fade. Maybe 1 second. Linear. Okay, and then for the animation I'm gonna go at keyframes, fade, and then I'm gonna define it. Say from opacity, 0, okay, to opacity 1. Okay, let's test that. Okay, so that's working, but I think our timing is too fast. Let's see. Okay, and maybe our opacity also is too much, so I'm gonna go back to the code block and then change the opacity from maybe say something like 0.3, and then our timing should be okay. Let's save that and check out how it looks. Is it the same? Okay, so this fades in faster, so we're going to reduce that by half. So I'm going to set the the animation duration to 0.5 seconds. All right, so that works. So here we go. So that is it. So now the next thing we're going to do is, now we notice that when you hover on this, everything fades out, but then when you come in here, this, you know, fades in, so while the others fade out. So we could just leave ours like this, but or we could go ahead then. So if you have the time to continue watching, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So the first thing we're going to do is to make sure that this person, okay, we have a tab. So we are fading just the name and position wrapper, okay? All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is, when we come in here to this div block, so I want to give this div block the left div, so I'm just going to give it a class of left div, okay? So I'm going to just maybe copy all the styles. I hope nothing breaks. So the left div, okay, and then delete. So everything is working fine, everything remains the same. Okay, so now, so our left div, I'm gonna add a state to it because I want to target this name pose wrapper, okay? But I want, when I hover on the left div, I want the opacity of that to reduce by half, okay? So I'm gonna go state, I'm gonna add a custom state. I'm gonna say hover dot name pose wrapper. So what I'm saying is that when I hover on this left div, target the name position wrapper. So this is a custom state. I'm gonna add that, and then I'm gonna go to opacity and set it to 0.5. So when I hover, so that should work. So let me see. Let me be sure that we got the name of our name dash pos dash wrapper, okay? State name dash pos dash wrapper. All right, let's check that out. Front-end refresh. So you see, when I hover on the div, everything fades out just like this, okay? When I hover on the div, everything fades out, but then when I come here, I want this to opacity to return to 0. So we have to enforce this opacity, okay, on the tabs, on the tab. So what I did was, okay, so we have different tabs here. So I'm going to take this class, okay? I'm going to copy that class. Now, because when we come here and hover on that tab element, we want to see, you know, this opacity turn to 1. So I'm going to use the code block instead, okay? So I'm just going to go and just put that tab, okay, dot hover. Then I'm going to target the name pose wrapper, okay? And then I'm going to change the opacity to 1, and I'm going to add important. So that will enforce, okay, that opacity. So when we come here and go in there, you know, it's going to work. So once we come in here, and then once you hover on it, it works. So I think that is that's the approach that I decided to take. If you know of any other approach, you can kindly share. All right, so you have this when you hover here, and then when you go in, okay, just like we have here, when you hover, just like that. Okay, so that's all. That's basically it. So that brings an end to our tutorial, the power of oxygen element. So from here you can see how powerful and how flexible the oxygen element is in being able to create you know, this nice looking tab using advanced custom fields. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you do, please like and subscribe. Share this with other people, let them know about the power of oxygen elements. Have a great day. Looking forward to the next tutorial.